All right, let's get this thing. Turn with me, if you would, to Hebrews chapter 5, verse 13 through 14. Hebrews chapter 5, verse 13 through 14. 13 through 14, rather. The text reads as follows: For everyone who partakes only of milk is unskilled in the word of righteousness, for he is a babe. But solid food, somebody say solid food. Solid food belongs to those who are of full age, the mature. That is, those who by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil. I want to be clear this morning that this isn't an indictment, but rather a clarion call to spiritual maturity. I want us to lock in right here because there's layers to this. There's levels to this. I said there's layers to this and there's levels to this. Here comes the lesson. Contextually, in Hebrews 5, the writer is establishing the priesthood of Yeshua according to the order of Melchizedek. He arrives at the Messiah's ministry in the days of his flesh, installs him as the author of eternal salvation to all whom obey, rather. Let me read that again for clarity. So he arrives at the Messiah's ministry in the days of his flesh, installs him as the author of eternal salvation to all who obey him. The writer expresses that further explanation has been made difficult because the recipients have become dull of hearing. So he's trying to explain to this particular audience what some of us understand now, but I want us to get the principle of what's happening. It's because he's trying to get them to another level by revealing another layer. Somebody say, there's levels to this. Say, there's layers to this. Yeah. Get the lesson now. And so, he says they're dull of hearing. In other words, they become sluggish hearers. I think that's something that the church or congregants face now. Sluggish hearers, lax listeners. If you would, watch this, comfort zone consumers. Comfort zone consumers. We'll let that out in a minute. Get this, the original audience of the text apparently had an issue of immaturity. It seems some couldn't evolve simply because they wouldn't. And so some of our growth, some of our development, some of our evolution is stunted by our will. Meaning that sometimes we just don't want to do the next thing. We don't want to go to the next level because, watch this, sometimes we're apprehensive about the requirements to get there. Sometimes we're apprehensive because we don't think that we're equipped. Watch this, once he sends edification, that's when the equipping happens. When he gives the word, let me put it this way, when he gives the word, that's when we got to be ready. Watch this, because sometimes when we get the word, we're like, I heard the word, but I'm not ready to execute the word. I'm not ready to exercise the word. Does that make sense? Can I use this as a quick tangent, but an intentional one? When Moses receives the call, he doesn't have the experience. But once he receives the word, he is equipped. He has his moments of where he wants his excuses for not doing it, but watch this. Once God calls you, I know we've heard this maybe before, but watch this. He calls us and that equips us. Are you hearing what I'm saying? And so when he sends edification, the edification is for us to be equipped to exercise the things which he is expressing. Are you hearing what I'm saying? And so they have this issue of immaturity. Some of them won't grow. They won't develop, they won't evolve because they just simply won't. Perhaps they wouldn't intake above their comfort zone. Let me say it again. Perhaps they wouldn't, it actually points to that they wouldn't intake because of their comfort zone, above their comfort zone. Comfort zones like tradition. Comfort zones like previous teaching. Watch this, and the church struggles with both. Struggles with traditions, and they struggle with previous teachings. Because some of the previous teachings that we've received, watch this, stop us from wanting to really absorb, that's the word I really want to use, absorb the revelation that's being given to us. Because it's different. Can I do this? I don't want to get ahead of myself, but watch this. How many of you have ever been out to a dining establishment with a child? And especially a child that's, watch this, that has grown their teeth. So their teeth have come in. So they have the capacity to intake something different. But sometimes, no matter where we go, they just want the same thing that they've been used to. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Why is it chicken tenders? I don't understand what it is about them things that the child will overlook the whole menu and just be like, where are the chicken tenders? I want chicken tenders and fries. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's obvious you have not been around children lately. But it seems like they always want what's on the children's menu. They always want, you see where this is going. They always want what's on the children's menu. They always want what they're used to. Because if you show them anything that they're not used to, it could be delicious, even to them, but because they've not seen it before. So you're showing them, watch this, there's something more than what you've been intaking. There's something more than what you've been eating. There's something more than what you've been consuming. But because you haven't had it before, there's apprehension. What's that? Don't let it be green. Don't let it start with the letter V. Are you hearing what I'm saying? I don't want to use explicatives around the children. Vegetables. Anyway, what's that? I don't want that. That's not beige, because you know fries are kind of beige. What's that? I want what I'm used to. I want what's the children's menu. Now watch this. Some of us can at least understand why the child would want what's on the children's menu. But we would find it a struggle to see a grown person, a grown individual, watch this, ask for what's on the child's menu. Now I understand, before anybody start turning off what I'm trying to say, I understand that sometimes you want to be a kid. I get it. That ain't what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like every time you go to let's say it like this, an upscale establishment. Boy, I'm telling y'all I'm going somewhere with this one. When you go to an upscale establishment and you look the part, you dress the part, you even know how to hold your utensils and which one to use at which course. But you can't have the 3 to 7 course meal that they're offering because all you want is what's on the children's menu. Isn't it something to any of you who have done fine dining that sometimes you'll see people dress up for this fine dining, but if they got a child with them, the server is going to bring crayons. Never mind. I'm trying to paint a picture for you. Bring crayons and a worksheet for them to color on. I don't know why they only give these children 4 colors, but that's another story for another day. But they bring to these fine establishments this paper so that your child can color. But it would be crazy that if the adults, or the ones that's supposed to be adults, it'd be something else that the mature was like, hey, where are my crayons? Where's my worksheet? Now, if you've been asking for one, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about what I'm talking about. Don't nobody be feeling offended. So he was talking about me in the message. I like my coloring book. Grow up. I mean, just let me let this out a little bit. But it'd be something else if the adult was like, not only do I want that, but I also want what's on the children's menu, the kids' menu. Are you tracking so far? But this issue of immaturity, because of what they wouldn't. Because, watch this, they were being challenged to intake above their comfort zone, beyond their tradition, beyond their privilege, beyond their previous, teaching. They were struggling. This can't be us. Somebody say, this can't be us. Here it is, the writer then transitions to address spiritual maturity. How does he got from the priesthood of Yeshua, according to the order of Melchizedek, and now he comes to spiritual immaturity? It's a question I kind of ask myself as well. Follow me here and absorb this. Development is determined by intake. Development is determined by intake. Let's put it on the table. Hebrews 5:13 identifies everyone who partakes only of milk as unskilled, a babe, ones yet in their spiritual infancy. In other words, inexperienced with the doctrine of righteousness. Here's a side note, but they're nevertheless capable of being an emerging participant. Watch this, to go further, that infancy is not inertness. So just because one is an infant in the spirit does not give them permission to be inert. This is not an allowance that even those who are infants, right, this rightfully so, this does not give them an excuse to be inert. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Because the whole purpose is to grow up. Are you hearing what I'm saying? And so Hebrews 5:14 marks that solid food belongs to those of full age. Somebody say full age. The mature, one's exercising discernment. One's exercising discernment. Recently, my family and I, this is going to make sense in a little bit. Recently, my family and I went out to an upscale establishment, a fine dining experience, if you will. And so it was a celebration. It was a celebration, and so we were invited to this celebration, and we sat down at a table with some folks that we didn't know, but knew the people that we knew. And so the adults were kind of sitting together. Now, my son happened to be with us. My son was sitting to a connected table, but he was sitting at another table with one of his friends, a friend of his age, right? Some children around his age group. So they were sitting over there. So when it came time to order the food, my wife and I ordered our food. And then the server came over to us. And he had a question. He said, "Hey, your son ordered something that's expensive." They said, "Your son ordered something that is expensive." I said, well, what did he order? See, because, watch this, the cost came from the cut. Man, I don't have time. I say that the cost, man, any of y'all know about a good cut of meat. The cost comes from the cut, the demand of it. So because of the cut of it, the server wanted to make sure that this child knew what he was asking for. They wanted to know whether this child's choice was all right with their parents. And I said, well, what did he order? And he told me what he ordered. You know that boy ordered a ribeye. He said, what did he order? And he told me what he ordered, and I said, I know it's expensive, but that's fine. See, my son is developing a different type of palate because of what we expose him to. Y'all are missing what I'm saying. I said he's developing a different kind of palate because of what we're exposing to him to. Not too long ago, we could have went to a similar establishment and he would have ordered what was on the children's menu. But because we keep exposing him to different things, now those different things, watch this, he's developing a taste for them. They're expensive, but I don't mind getting it for him because I know not only do he know what he's eating, he knows how to eat it. So I'm not, watch this, I'm not frantic when they hand my son a knife. That's not a knife, that's a knife. I'm not frantic about when they hand it to him, because watch this, he's learned how to cut it for him. He's learned how to ingest it. He's learned how to eat it for himself. Are you hearing what I'm saying? And so here's the thing, when we start raising, watch this, the infants up, I understand at first that the infants can only take in the milk. But at some point, they're going to need some solid food. At some point, they're going to need something that's substantial. And I'm trying to wonder why we have 5 and 6 and 10 and 20-year-old infants in the church. Are you hearing what I'm saying? I can see the teeth. I don't see the will to chew. Are you hearing what I'm saying? He knew what he was asking for. But the server had an issue. Because he said, are you sure that you're going to pay the cost for this cut? Of course I will, because I know he knows what to do with it. Let me say it one more time. Yeah, I don't mind paying for it because I know he knows what to do with it. So here's an aside. By the way, I've yet to see an infant's menu at any establishment, let alone an upscale establishment. Y'all ever went somewhere and seen an infant's meal? You see, I don't care if it's even at a fast food restaurant, right? You see all the combo numbers. You see the kids menu. You see the dollar menu. I have yet to see an infant's menu, so I'm trying to figure out why we keep serving it in this establishment. Are you hearing what I'm saying? So watch this. Even the secular realm knows, watch this, if you're going to feed the child, watch this, somebody else needs to worry about what's on that menu. But we'll offer the children's menu, but what we're really here for is a different level of dining. And I wonder when the church will get the appetite, develop the palate, because watch this, the things that you've learned to like are because your palate developed a taste for it. If nobody exposes this to you, you won't know whether you like it or not. But watch this, many of us haven't experienced anything because we look at it and decide that we don't want no parts of it. And here's the funny part, this will make sense to the message. Some of us think that's discernment. That's not discernment, that's reluctance. That's not discernment, truth be told, that's fear. I'm afraid of what it is. You don't even know what it is. And some of us are reluctant over revelation. Some of us are fearful for, watch this, the new thing. I'm not talking about something outside the context of what Scripture is saying, but simply because we're not used to it. So here's the thing. I got to do it because it's right there. This is why some people are apprehensive for you introducing them to feast. Because they want the infant's menu. Okay. And what he's trying to do is he's really trying to introduce them to a feast. Because who is he talking about? He's talking about Yeshua. And he's talking about a different level of Yeshua than the audience is used to. And watch this, once we break out a dynamic that the church, I'm talking about corporately, is unfamiliar with, sometimes we just reject it because it doesn't look like what we're used to. If I take you to Calvary, the whole church will hoop with the preacher. But what happens if I start in Exodus? What if I tell you where the menu came from? Okay. Because I got to do it every time they come around. Because watch this, the church is more interested in snacks. We call it communion. They're more introduced. They more want the snack than the supper. Are you hearing what I'm saying? We'll take the snack every time somebody bring it up. But when you bring up the supper, And just for clarity, Paul was teaching about supper way after the ascension. Okay. Let me come back to this thing. But he's trying to teach, the writer is trying to teach the audience about a different level of Yeshua, about a different level of the Messiah. There's some things about him that we need to know, watch this, so we can operate the way that he's called us to be. Are you hearing what I'm saying? And watch this, because by the end of this chapter, I can go there. By the end of this chapter, what he's really trying to get them to is like, if you could just, watch this, take this deeper doctrine, then you'll be able to exercise discernment. So the more that we know about him, the more that we'll be able to discern the difference between good and evil. The difference between what is God and what man says. Are you hearing what I'm saying? We'll be able to tell the difference between, oh boy, I hope y'all hear this one, what is moral and what is ministry. Are you hearing what I'm telling you? But development is determined by intake. Let's take it here. Solid intake is crucial for spiritual maturity. I said solid intake is crucial for spiritual maturity. Strong nourishment fuels mature navigation. There's more substance to it. Are you hearing what I'm saying? And so the text is telling us, he's like, watch, this belongs to those who are looking for solid food. They're looking for strong nourishment. There's more substance to it. The solid food belongs to those of full age. The solid food belongs to the mature, to the ones who are exercising discernment. How are we going to get to that next line, to that next level of discernment if we don't learn how to take on deeper doctrine? There are some things, watch this, there were some things, what if I told you there were some things that you would have navigated deeper if you would have received the doctrine sooner? Because we fight with doctrine that's different than what we've heard. We've all done it. Somebody introduced something to you, well, that's not what I was taught. What if you were taught wrong? Because some of us, watch this, some of us have a faith built on somebody's testimony instead of his testament. Boy. Are you hearing what I'm saying? And you can say what they said, but we don't know what he's saying. He that has an ear, woo, let him hear what the Spirit is saying. Somebody say saying. Say he's still speaking right now. Well, let's put it on the table. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Stay with me. Let's talk about the difference between liquid and solid intake. Y'all know I'm different, so you should don't ever think that you're ready for what's finna go. I had to ask myself the question, well, what's the difference? What's the difference between liquid and solid intake? Watch this, and I want to do it through a spiritual lens. Are you with me? So I want us to note that both are sustenance and vital to the body for absorption. So the body needs both. Say the body needs both. So both the milk and the solid food, both the liquid and the solid. Are you with me so far? And so at the same time, one in the text identifies immaturity. The other one marks maturity. Did you catch that? I said one identifies immaturity when it's the only thing that's ingested, when it's the only thing that's digested, when it's the only thing that's absorbed. One identifies immaturity, the other marks maturity. Here it is. The difference between liquid and solid intake is liquid brings in quicker satisfaction. Boy, I hope you're hearing what I'm trying to tell you. I said it's quicker satisfaction. It's fast food. It's quick. it's quick delivery to the system. Are you hearing what I'm saying? It's immediate hydration. Here's the thing, it also leaves the system quicker. Anybody ever had a drink and then you immediately had to relieve yourself? And what do you say? That ran right through me. And some of these messages that we have received want nothing but a liquid diet. Didn't do anything for us. Had a taste, might have tasted real good. Can I say it like this? Because this one came through my little crazy mind. It might have tasted mighty fine. That's mighty fine. But it ran right through you. Before you could say, you was like, Some of y'all caught that. Ran, I knew you'd catch it. Ran right through you. So it was quick, but it doesn't hold anything. Watch this. There's a thing sometimes where thirst is confused with hunger. It's a real thing, right? You're really thirsty, but we can confuse it with hunger. But here's the thing: when you're hungry for real, drink the water. You understand what I'm saying? The liquid ain't gonna do. You can drink all the water you want to. You be like, I need something to eat. I need some substance, So you hear what I'm saying? I need something that's going to hold me. How many of you all will not feed your children certain meals because you know that it won't hold them? Because the children love the milk, right? The chocolate milk. The flavor, right? They love the chocolate milk, and they'll drink that chocolate milk until they're full. But not too long afterwards, right? Because now they're saying, Mama, I'm full. I don't want to trigger none of the mamas in here. I'm just talking about what I'm talking about. Mama, I'm full. How many of y'all have heard the baby say, Mama, I'm full, and 30 minutes later, like, Mama, I'm hungry? I told you not to drink all that milk. What happened to it? It ran right through you. Why do we think in the spirit it's anything different? Just because we get something that satisfies us quickly doesn't mean that it's going to sustain us at all. Are you hearing what I'm saying? And so the liquid, so to speak, is immediate hydration. It leaves the system, but it leaves the system quicker. Watch this. The solid brings greater fullness. Somebody say greater fullness. I can end the sermon right there. I said the solids bring greater fullness. It is retained in the system for longer. How many of y'all, I'm not talking about overindulging, but how many have eaten a good meal and you're like, I don't need nothing for the rest of the day? I'm not talking about going crazy now. I'm not talking about doing 5 laps around the buffet line. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying you ate a good, I'm not talking about nobody. I'm talking about what I'm talking about. I'm saying, but you just ate a good meal and you was like, you know what? I'm good for the rest of the day. Side note, y'all know this whole 3 square thing is a made-up thing anyway, right? Okay. You got to have 3 squares. Says who? People who was trying to sell you stuff. Anywho, I'm just talking about what I'm talking about. But it brings greater fullness. It's retained in the system longer. This is because the substance consistency requires, watch this, an anatomical breakdown. What am I talking about anatomical? The body. So watch this, when you eat solids, the body, God help my soul, has to break it down different. See, the body doesn't have to break down the drink because it can just go straight to the system. But watch this, when you are eating something that is solid, you got to chew where you're supposed to. If you don't, you're going to wind up choking on something, you know what I'm saying? But you're supposed to chew that thing, you understand what I'm saying? So it takes time. Do you know that if you, this is a side note, do you know if you chew your food properly, you'll probably eat less? Because by the time it takes, watch this, that substance to hit your system and recognize it, if you eat fast, you didn't realize that you was actually full about 5 minutes ago. Are you hearing what I'm saying? But when you chew, the chewing, what I wanted to get with is there's a process of intake. That means I can't just guzzle it down. That means I got to take some time because it might be served to me a certain way. When they bring out that thing, that steak, that ribeye, you understand what I'm saying? I don't take the ribeye with my bare hands and start eating it like a caveman. Maybe some of y'all do. That ain't how I was raised. Anywho, the principle will still remain, but you had a fine establishment, so you know what I'm saying. They provide for you a fork and a knife. And you take that and you start cutting it. You cut it. First, most of us that eat it, we'll cut it in the middle first. Why do we want to cut it in the middle? We want to see how it's cooked. You know what I call that? Rightly dividing. You'll cut that. I'm just talking about what I'm talking about. But you want to make sure that it's cooked appropriately. Are you hearing what I'm saying? And so then you start cutting on the ends. You start eating it little bit by little bit. If they got something to dip with it, you'll dip with it. But you start cutting it and you'll chew it. And if it's good, some of us that understand this, when it's good, you ain't trying to chew it fast because you don't want it to go away so fast. It's like, ooh, savor the flavor. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Sometimes that's how I am with a good message. Bruh, slow down. I'm trying to savor the flavor. Are you hearing what I'm saying? That thing is good to me. Are you hearing what I'm saying? And so when we take our time with it and we break it down, we're able to start being like, they put a little paprika in this thing. They put some salted butter on this thing. I taste a little thyme, you know what I'm saying? I taste some seasoning. Y'all know us. I don't want to eat anything that ain't seasoned. You know what I'm saying? You need to put some seasoning on that thing. A little salt and a little pepper. You understand what I'm saying? I need something on mine. You're going to need to put some flavor on that. Any of y'all ever had a good cut but bad seasoning? Don't it upset you? I don't want to go too far down that line. I ain't trying to trigger nobody, but you had a good cut. You paid your good money for the good cut, but then they didn't season it. And how many of you, watch this, how many of you have a cut that you prefer? And then you'll try to eat another cut, and you'll be like, this ain't, I tried it, but this is not it. Are you hearing what I'm saying? But when you take your time with it, there's something that it does not only because, watch this, the consistency is going to remain and it's going to be retained in our system for longer, but watch this, we develop, watch this course for it. I've gotten to a point where I'm really at the point now where I might not eat in, this particular style of food anywhere else other than I cook it or I'm going at that establishment. You understand what I'm saying? Because every time I go somewhere else and try to eat, I'll be like, this is not it. I wonder how many of us would do that in the spirit realm. We just stop showing up at random places to hear any old thing. But we'd be like, you know what? It's worth the trip. It's worth what it's going to cost me. Because when I experienced this kind of cut, it hit different. Say the solid food. Hit different. It does. It really does. This is true both in the natural and in the spiritual. But there's a different breakdown process. Ken, right here, while there's certainly a time for immediate refreshment, the text sounds a clarion call for greater fullness. Somebody say greater fullness. Consider this too. Watch this. This is an aside, but consider this. The evolution of the season give a growth trajectory for the infant. Let me say that again. The evolution of the season, in other words, the evolution of those who are mature, they reveal a growth trajectory for the infant. So in other words, when you start advancing your palate, what happens is the children that may not be ready to ingest it yet, but they get the idea of, I want to try that too. If you're enjoying it, the only reason why my son likes it is because his father, y'all ain't hear what I'm saying. The only reason why my son has developed a taste for it is because the father has exposed him. And so what I'm saying is the father is trying to expose us to a different cut. He knows how much it costs. And as long as you know how to rightly divide, as long as you know that you ain't going to mess over your food, because the immature, that's what they do. They mess over food. You can't get an immature person to hear a good message. All they will do is mess over the They want to put ketchup on a man, help me. I need deliverance. Somebody pray for me. You want to... Oh! What are you doing? I'm glad you brought that up. Elder said he said you're gonna upset the chef. That ain't what he said. But he said you're gonna upset the chef. I remember I was at this particular establishment and I was introducing somebody because they said they had never had a good steak. I said, okay, I'm gonna take this somewhere where you can get a good one. I know I owe you, Erica, I'm coming. But so I was introducing them to something, and we sat down, and this one was a different style of cooking it. It was the same cut, but it was a different style of cooking it that I was familiar with. And I was like, okay, well, this is the way that I like it prepared. And the server said, watch this, the chef won't prepare it that way. But you know, us in our dignified self, the customer is always right. No, you're not. See, that's the attitude problem that, watch this, that we've brought commercialism into the church. And we think that the customer is always right because we want it served to us the way that we want it served. Could you say that nicer? No, if you don't live right, you're going to hell. Oh, the grace of the Most High is with you, and He's surrounding you, and He will let you go. Are you hearing what I'm saying? The point that I'm making is they said that the chef would not prepare it that way. He said, but if you don't mind, which means that I had to lose my pride. He said, if you don't mind, what I can do is that I can have him cut it for you. And if he cuts it, it's going to cook a little bit more than it would if it was uncut. So watch this. You can still have the experience without compromise. And so watch this. I got to give it to you the way that he gives it to me, but sometimes I got to do it in a way, watch this, where at least you'll try it out. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because you're not used to it. But I can't compromise it. Are you hearing what I'm saying? I can't overcook it. And I sure can't undercook it. Somebody say he's cooking. That was for me. Thank you. But are you hearing what I'm saying? I know I'm goofy. That's all right. But are you hearing what I'm saying? And so here it is that again, I say the evolution, so the maturation, the maturity of those who are supposed to be seasoned, the audience apparently was seasoned. This is why he's having an issue with them like, hey, I'm trying to tell y'all this different layer that you're unfamiliar with. I'm trying to give you this layer that you're unfamiliar with. But you're making it difficult for me because you still want to bring up tradition. You still want to bring up previous teaching. Watch this. Can I say this? Some of us want to blend culture. Some of us want to mix politics. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Some of us want to stir in a little sprinkle of emotion when it's compromising the meal. And it cannot be compromised. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Again, verse 14 says, but solid food belongs to those who are of full age. That is, watch this, that is those who by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil. Here's the charge. Spiritual maturity is met by corresponding growth. We've been dealing with different dynamics of that, but hear it again. Spiritual maturity is met by corresponding growth. Listen close. True growth applies itself. True growth applies itself. The text reveals that spiritual growth feeds discernment. So this spiritual growth, this willingness, watch this, to hear and experience and intake, to ingest and digest and absorb this different layer is going to bring you, watch this, a new dynamic of discernment. And it's not going to just happen by ingesting. It's going to happen because you're going to be able to exercise it. The reason why some of us can't exercise the things which are expressed to us because we only want comfort food. We only want that which will immediately satisfy. But it cannot sustain us. We want to hear the good word so we can hup, hup, hup. We want that immediate ingestion so we can hit Bojangles. Are you hearing what I'm saying? But after the dance, after the hooping and the hollering, what remains? How is it that you got a breakthrough on Sunday and you was broke down by Monday? Because it ran right through you. What if we actually savored the word? How many of y'all have ate a good meal, but you couldn't eat it all? Huh? You couldn't eat it all. It was just so much. But you was like, you know what? Do y'all have a to-go box? And they was like, yeah, in some places they serve it so well that they'll box it up for you in front of you. They won't even take it. They'll do it right there in front of you. Just be like, here you go. Would you like a drink to go to? But now you can finish that thing at the house. So you don't have to throw away, watch this, what you've invested into. But here's the thing. Sometimes those leftovers are available, but we won't even take it home with us. Now, if it costs you something, you won't do that. But because we can get, watch this, we can get this fine dining experience for the price of admission, sometimes we'll leave food on the table. It's way more than. When you didn't pay that much for it, you don't care about leaving some of it on the table. Like whatever, that wasn't that expensive anyway. But if you don't put some money on that thing, any of y'all be turning the plate over trying to get the last little bit of juice. And maybe that's only me, right? Right? I'm a little bougie. But I ain't so bougie that I ain't trying to get it to the. I'm going to wait till the other table is deep in their conversation. But are you hearing what I'm saying? Don't miss this. The deeper things of the Messiah, the deeper things of Yah, the deeper things of Christ are the solid food. Get this, the capacity to feast on deep things is determined by our desire for growth. I'll say it again. The capacity to feast on deep things. See, the infants don't even have the capacity. They don't even have the ability. They ain't got no teeth yet. I'm talking literal here, you hear what I'm saying? But once you start growing some teeth, why? You start introducing that baby to food that they have to chew. Now, you don't give them something, you don't give them a steak straight off, but you give them something that they have to chew. Do you understand what I'm saying? But the capacity to feast on deep things is determined by our desire for growth. Do we even desire to grow? See, watch this. You didn't ask your child when you was feeding them, do you desire to grow? No, I need you to look at it from the spiritual standpoint. When you were trying to raise up your child, you did not ask that child, do you have a desire to grow? I'm willing to wager a good amount of money that you never asked Blanket. You never asked her, little Blanket, you know Blanket is so cute and precious. Little Blanket, do you desire to grow? Nope, what did you do? Here, bottle, now drink. Right? When you start feeding them, you don't care how many times they turn their face. What you finna do? You finna feed them. You know what I'm saying? Side note, that's why some of these preachers got to speak like this. They got to make the airplane sound, so y'all open your mouth. Ah. Well. Come on and eat this thing. Come over here. You needed the sound, didn't you? You needed the airplane noise so you can hear the same message that came without it. Anywho, but that's only for the infants. See, the infants need the airplane noise. But see, when you mature, I'm not knocking hooping. I'm just talking about what I'm talking about. But watch this. When you mature, sometimes you just like to eat and be quiet. You know it's a good meal when people stop talking. I know this food good. You'll have like little side conversations, but you ain't finna have no long guy draw conversation. How's your food? quiet for 5 minutes. It's true. You understand what I'm saying? We can talk about it after we. But watch this. Watch this. Some preachers don't even know how to preach without hearing somebody feedback. I can't get no help here. I talk about everybody. You hear what I'm saying? I'll talk about when we want to mature. We'll be like, look, this is how he gave it to serve to me. Whether you say amen or not, I know how I prepared it. And watch this. And the mature are going to be like, yeah, this is good right here. That's why when you hear a good message, the mature sometimes they don't even say nothing. They just moan. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Let me stop doing all these analogies. Let me get to the point. But the capacity to feast on deep things is determined by our desire for growth. Desiring spiritual challenges rather than being comfort zone consumers. Gaining a depth of understanding rather than binging on the bottle of basics. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Consider this, I'm almost out your way. Scaling operations. I know this seems like a tangent, but it's intentional. Scaling operations involves increasing capacity to meet rising demand. Furthermore, without compromise. I say it again. Scaling operations. In other words, what we need to grow a business, what we need to grow an enterprise. Are you getting it now? What we need to grow in enterprise is called, one aspect of it is called scaling operations. And it involves increasing capacity to meet rising demand without compromise. Watch this. In business, the idea is to reduce dependency on individuals. This is commonly done by automation. That's what's happening right now. This is why this just is what it is. This isn't to scare anybody. This is the reality of where we are. This is why many will be out of jobs because they want to automate everything or as much as they can through AI. And they want to do this, watch, because it cuts costs. But somebody's making that money. It cuts costs, right? And it also takes the reliance off of people. And people who will make errors. Are you hearing what I'm saying? So they want to be able to produce what they want to produce with as minimal staff as possible. However, that's in business. In the body, the intent is to charge individuals to develop. Are you hearing what I'm saying? From the text, or per the text, it is corporately by acumen. So how is it that we are going to develop? We got to, watch this, we got to desire the things of the Most High. We have to desire a deeper doctrine. Receive this, advance is available by an appetite for acumen. I said advancement is available by an appetite for acumen. We can grow this enterprise we call the kingdom. We can grow this enterprise we call the body when we start introducing, watch this, a different cut. When we start introducing a deeper doctrine. Watch this. We got to get off of the infant menu. We really got to get away at some point from the children's menu. Are you hearing what I'm saying? We have to go to, everybody wants to like fast forward to James and Hebrews and be talking stuff. Oh, we can go on past, the elementary things. How are we going to get past the elementary things and the church keep wanting chicken nuggets? And then wonder why they scared to do anything. Anywho. But advancement is available by an appetite for acumen, but that has to be developed. That has to be introduced. And what the writer is doing for the audience, he's trying to introduce them to a different level of consumption. He's trying to introduce them to, watch this, I have something else for y'all because I'm fighting to express these things to y'all because y'all are still stuck on tradition. Y'all are still stuck on, the audience was still stuck on previous teaching. Some of them were just stuck on, I don't want that. I see it, but I'm not used to it. We have to have a desire for discernment. develop a palate for spiritual maturity. I wonder, can leadership, watch this, maybe they articulate it differently, but I wonder when leadership will start charging, watch this, each other. When you and I charge, not just me challenging you, but you challenging me, us challenging each other to develop a palate for spiritual maturity. Well, we're no longer satisfied by that which strikes us immediately. We're no longer satisfied by that which seems so good to us immediately, but we start being like, you know what? I want the deeper things. So watch this. That means that it's going to take more time. Because you'll sit in that fine dining establishment for hours. How many of y'all lost yourself in a fine dining experience? By the time you got up from the table, you realized it had been a few hours. But then it's funny, like at that fast food restaurant, which is colored so that you can leave quickly. But either you catch the itis, and that's the reason why you're there longer, or you're ready to get out of there as soon as possible. It's crafted that way. Anywho, take this with you. Discernment reveals spiritual growth. Discernment reveals spiritual growth. Spiritual growth is fed by deeper doctrine. Strong nourishment, solid food. This message is a call to feast on the deeper things. When will we desire to feast on the deeper thing? Because something that we need to realize that those solely on the bottle they actually risk missing the wedding banquet, if you understand what I'm saying. We can't be solely on the bottle. At some point in time, we got to get ready to sit down and understand that this is going to take some time to break down. Help me, Holy Ghost. This is going to take some time to break down because this cut came with a cost. And this experience is going to cause for me to watch this, to make sure that I divide this thing a certain way, that I look at it, that I understand it. I start trying to understand what I'm tasting, not to be a critic. Not to be a critic, but to be one whose palate is raised. To be a connoisseur. You know, when you're a connoisseur, you take your time. Because you want to know what's in there. I taste this. I taste this. Because if you ever, watch this, had a fine dining experience, sometimes you're trying to figure out what they put in it so that you can cook it for. I want to bring you to the context of this passage, and I'll leave you go. What he tells them, I believe in verse 13, if not 12, that they should have been, the audience should have been teachers by now. They will see, you understand what I'm saying? He said, because this is the indictment, this is the problem that he's having. Like, y'all are seasoned, but you're still struggling. Y'all should have been teachers by now. But instead of being teachers, you're still looking to be taught. He said, not only you still looking to be taught, you need to be taught. At what point in time do you and I, watch this, still yearn for those things which are prepared? We know it costs, we know it's going to take some time to break it down. But when will we get to the point where we're ready to prepare it? When will we go from being simply consumers to being chefs? When will we go from simply being taught to wanting to be teachers because we have the acumen, because we've developed the palate for spiritual growth, for spiritual maturity, for spiritual development, the deeper things? Are you hearing what I'm saying? I want to give you your message entitlement. Marking spiritual maturity. Marking spiritual maturity. How is it that we are marking spiritual maturity? By developing discernment through the desire for deeper doctrine. Developing that taste for it, that appetite for it, that palate for it. So, watch this. even those who may appear that they are not of age will understand because they've been exposed. Well, the sons and daughters, watch this, of the Most High will sit at tables where people be like, do you know what that costs? Yeah, I know what it costs. I also know how to break it down. I also know, watch this, how to taste what I'm intaking. Because I want to be able to taste so that I can teach. I want to go past just saying taste and see. I want to the level where I can teach those how to taste and see. I want to expose others. And some of you are like, well, I don't know if I'm called to that. Yeah, you are. You're a witness. Do you understand what I'm saying? You're supposed to grow. Now, when I was using the example of the little baby saying, did you ever ask the baby, do they desire to grow? I wonder why we have to ask the church that. Babies, do you desire to grow? Do you need the airplane sound? Or are you ready to order from a different level of menu? Are your choices on a different level of menu? Deeper doctrine. Doctrine that takes time to break down. There are some things, this is an introductory to it if you want to be honest with you. There are some deep things that will take weeks to break down. You're not going to get it in one sitting. But the immature will be like, it shouldn't take that long. The immature will say, it don't take all that. But the mature, y'all know you done heard it. It don't take all that. Well, it does for the mature. And we don't mind. We don't mind. Because we understand that the level of discernment that we're looking for, let me be specific to this message, the level of discernment that we need in this season is going to take a deeper doctrine of understanding the things of Yeshua HaMashiach. It's going to take something, watch this, even deeper than understanding the order of Melchizedek. It's going to take something deeper than realizing that he is the Lamb of God. The lamb was prescribed in Exodus. The ingredients were given on a mountain called Moriah, when the father led his son to sacrifice. And he told the servants, catch this in the spirit, we'll be back. I just gave you revelation. I don't know if you caught it. Because watch this, he's ascended. But I'm here to tell somebody, he will be back. Give him praise right now. Give him praise right there. Give him praise right there.